yeah, let's jump right in. I'm happy to. I'm
I
ready
really
to rock.
appreciate it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. Honestly, it means a lot.
Thanks, John. My pleasure. Nice to be here with you.
Thank you. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I wanted to just jump right into it. I'm going to include this whole thing in the video, but so first question I wanted to ask you, Last Ronin,
Mhm.
amazing. Why release it now and not prior? What made you want to do it now?
Well, it's interesting that when I look at the parallels of when Peter and I first came up with the idea for a story of this type, a story set 30 years in the future, and that was 1987. And it was
Hmm.
sort of at a time in the Mirage comics where we had wrapped up a big storyline. We were on issue 11, and we sort of looking at where do we go from here. And we were like, well, let's look way down the road and then see where they might end up, and that would help us sort of navigate to get there. And then cartoons happen and toys happen and everything happened, that never came brought back to the table. So in late 2018, early 2019, as we're heading towards issue 100, Tom and I were kind of in the same place at IDW. It was like, well, issue 100 is coming up. Where are we going to go from here? And that was sort of like, I said, well, this idea Peter and I had seems like this could be the right time and the right place to bring it back and look at it hard as an opportunity to tell a story. And, I fell in love with it again. Of course, Tom did. And so we took that structure, that foundation, and started cobbling together a story to adapt it as true to the original as we could, but to
Hmm.
take it to another place that sort of is more heavily influenced on how much we've aged in 30 years since then.
Was that a hard
More than that,
task?
a few years since then. So
Yeah.
its timing was perfect. So
Was that hard for you to try to make those changes that you were so kind of set in stone from when you originally wrote it?
not so much. Only in that there were the treatment that was written was pretty broad strokes, and that there was a sort of a setup, what the world would be like at that time, where each of the turtles sort of fell into the storyline,
Hmm.
a structure for an ending that we wanted to have, and then just there was enough of those pieces, a good solid foundation that gave us the building blocks to then jump ahead 32 years and then adapt it and then look another 20 25 years down the road and bring some of those elements, keep true to them, but sort of take them to where they would be logically. So it was fun. There's a lot more detail, and we had specific concepts how we wanted to go, and even with the format of the book we wanted to go back to larger
Yeah.
40-page stories, 5 issues, that there would be oversized in the publishing size, kind of
Hmm.
true to the original Mirage books. And so there were things, I wanted larger fight scenes, and just there's a lot of things that we wanted to make this pull together to make this, and pretty much IDW and Nickelodeon really just said, go for it. And so they've been super supportive of everything we've been doing.
I think you guys accomplished everything you were going for because the book is easily one of my favorite comic books that I have read in my life.
Thank you.
Did you have any more stories that you wanted to tell that are similar to where it's kind of an offshoot or it's not canon, or is this kind of the only one that you have in the chamber?
Well, what's interesting, and actually, I want to quickly give a shout out to the incredible Escorza brothers, who were,
Oh
even
yes.
though Tom and I, wrote the story. I do the layouts, like Peter and I, how Peter and I used to work in the old days. But the
Mhm.
Escorza brothers really just kicked ass and took names. We're adding to issue 2, 3, and 4. We're adding Ben Bishop, my old pal from Maine. He's doing some of the flashback sequences there. But the brothers are going to be rocking it, and then Luis Delgado, who's our colorist, just blew my
Yeah,
mind. He's
I know.
fantastic. So we got a really great team putting it together. But so your question is, when Tom and I really started getting into this world, because it had to be designed from the ground up, in a sense that you sort of think and imagine anything, how much we've advanced in technologically and otherwise as a human race from say over the last 20 years. If you're looking 20 years down the road, you're going like, um,
Who knows?
Star Trek land, or
Yeah.
I don't know. You just kind of look
We're
like,
supposed to
what's
have flying cars by now. Where are they?
we were supposed to, right?
Yeah, the Jetsons lied to us.
Yeah. Oh. Um, uh, but no, so that as we started putting together the pieces and designing the world, the more we dug deep in that, the more ideas were sort of hiding around little nooks and crannies and around corners and stuff. So we were, even up until the 28th when we launched it, we weren't sure how the book would be received. And it's, knock on wood, it's the fans really have embraced it. And so if we do our job well, as we continue the series, I think there may be an opportunity to continue with something, and I'm not sure what that'll be, because a year and a half ago, we didn't know we were going to be doing Last Ronin. So, but I think under the bi-monthly schedule, we should wrap up by summer of 2021. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where we end up and where we can go from there.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, because as someone that's been a fan since the original movie and the animated series, to see this kind of grow with us is great to see, and I'd be curious to see what else you're going to do in that universe. So that's exciting that you've said that. But what I wanted to say was, so speaking of IDW, Nickelodeon, and the current book, you guys have been doing a fantastic job on the current book, and I know Sophie Campbell's currently writing it with you right now. She's been great. So is there an end to the current IDW run that you guys have planned, or is it kind of just keep running it until you guys find a proper ending?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one of those that almost like we flip it back to the fans, who are our most important deciders. Because when I started working with Tom, and again, kudos to Tom Waltz, who he's I'm his biggest fan. I mean, it takes a village to produce a comic book. We all had say and input, Nickelodeon, myself, and the incredible IDW staff. But Tom wrote every one of those issues, and he wrote 100 of them, and they're fantastic.
Right.
And I think that when we started on the series, I remember thinking, like, even being in the room and saying, man, I hope we make it to issue 12, because we can really do this up in issue 12 before if the fans don't catch on. Then we made it to 12, and the sales was still strong. And then I was like, well, let's you can't wait till we get to issue 24. And then it was issue 50, and then when we were just sort of like, what this is. And so when we were heading towards issue 100, we knew it was long planned that there would be a wrap up of sort of a big structural foundation storyline, all these pieces, including bringing Jenica into the series, that would leave a great place to build from and mine for future stories and stuff. So when we all stepped away and let Sophie into the driver's seat, and who's been just kicking butt and taking names too, I've really been digging what she's been doing, and the whole team that's doing the new series. So it's really let's see how the fans continue to respond. So far, it's been great, and so as long as we're doing our job well, and you guys are buying the comics, then we'll keep making them, because you guys give us the greatest job ever. You buy the books, and we get to keep making them. So
For sure. And it's a great, honestly, it's a great series. It's exciting to have that version of the Turtles, while also having the new iterations like Rise for the younger generation. And you can have the best of both worlds. I've seen a lot of people complain about one or the other. You don't need to have them all. I find joy in all of them. But if you don't like Rise, if you don't like the previous CG one, it's okay. You can move on. You have the comic books. That's the way I see them.
No, that's again, we've been so lucky with that exactly what you just said. And I remember when we had when the Turtles animated series was first brought into as an opportunity, and started getting out there into the world. A lot of people were like, oh no, I used to love the Turtles, the black and white Turtles, and now they got this kids thing. And we were like, well, we're keeping both. We're still doing the black and white story. So if you like that, you can keep stick with the Mirage series.
Exactly.
And for your audience, which doing the animated stuff, that's that. But what was great was by the time we got to that point where we added the movies in, so you almost had like, that was the middle point. So you had like the black and white comics on one side and the cartoons on the other, and the movies were sort of right in the middle. So we really got three fantastic worlds to grow from.
Yeah, it is great, because there is something for everybody, and I thankfully have found something to love in every iteration. So I'm grateful for you and everyone involved that has created anything turtle related.
Thank you so much.
When it came to The Last Ronin, the actual Ronin himself, was it always set to be blank? I won't spoil it for people that haven't read it yet, but did you always have that turtle in mind, or was it kind of bouncing around?
No, it was that turtle was from the very beginning. It was a specific choice for a lot of reasons, not only historical but also storytelling opportunities, story arc, things like that. It made the most sense, and there was never a question of, certainly for Tom and I, who it would be. So yeah, and it's so, and I'm so bad at this stuff because it really is one of those things. I know the book's only been out since the 28th, and you don't want to give any spoilers, and
Of
that's
course.
the worst part because we're always working. We're working ahead,
Yeah.
to issue, and then we've got layout. We got everything. We know what we're going to do in issues 3, 4, and 5. So sometimes I have to really watch myself and going like, ugh! And then
If
give
something
everything.
slipped, I would have cut it out. Don't you worry. I wouldn't let you put that out there. But
Thanks.
that really threw me in for a shock. I was reading the whole book. I could seen the certain other turtles talking. I thought I knew who was coming, and I'm thinking you guys did that on purpose to kind of throw you off, because the whole time I did not think it was going to be who it ended up being. So it
Cool.
was I was actually reading it speech bubble to speech bubble at the end because I was that nervous to see who was going to be at the end. So that was really exciting.
So that was then we did our job well because it was really Tom, we even thought for a millisecond, it's like, well, maybe we wait till issue 2 to you know say who it is, and then we like, no, that just because that just ruined, because we'd really designed the series to be each issue to be individual and as intense as they connect together, and each at the end of each issue you'll learn it take you another level deeper into the story we're telling. So it's gonna the intensity will be
I can feel it already.
yeah, it's good. Like I'm really proud of it, and
Yeah.
we're really excited to, as we, if nothing else, as writers, artists, we write. At the end of the day, it's you have to write for yourself, and if
Hmm.
you're writing something that you like, and it's not always, it can be a war at times where you sort of struggle to like, because it's hard to be original in any sense, certainly with a property that's now 36, 37 years old, and then in general all pop
Yeah.
culture. But this one just feels really good. You get that vibe. It's like, yeah, we're hitting the notes we want to be hitting, and that's pretty exciting.
That's fantastic. Well, I know what we're wrapping up here. We're running out of time here. So I just wanted to ask you one last casual question. And what's the coolest piece of Ninja Turtle merchandise that you actually either own or that you've seen come out into the market?
Man, there's so many, and I'm not saying it just because there's some that I just particularly like from, the original toys. I liked Krang with the android body with a little,
Right.
put him in the middle there. I like the Star Trek version of the Turtles, which were fantastic. I also like the NECA version of the Turtles,
Oh,
where
yes.
they look just like, not only what they did originally based on the original toy designs,
Hmm.
comic book designs, but the stuff they've done since is just the quality, and what they do is just fantastic. As far as just bits and pieces of memorabilia, there's so many fun things that, either Pete and I have used, we've given each other, or collected or kept, or mementos. But over in my bookcase over there is a good friend of ours, a turtle fan, Stephen Reese, went up and before they tore down the house in Dover, New Hampshire,
Hmm.
where the turtles were created, because it sold and they were gonna demolish it. So he went up in the middle of the night and pulled off a couple of boards from the side of the house
Yeah.
and cut them up and sent them to sent them to people, fans. He sent me one. He sent Pete one, and a couple other ones. So that one is a particular treasure for me. Is like, because that was pretty awesome.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, I know you're a really busy guy, so thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me. I'm looking really forward to Last Ronin 2, and I hope you guys stay safe during this pandemic, and I'm looking forward to everything that's coming your way.
Well, thank you, and I, flip it back and say, thanks for all your support and giving us the greatest job ever. You stay safe, family safe, and we can't wait to with a time when we can get back out on the road and see you all at conventions and things like that, because we miss you as much as we think you miss us. So, but we do miss being out there. So, but be safe, and you take care.
Thank you, Kevin. I hope to see you soon.
All right, cheers.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye,
Thank you.
John.
Bye.